It's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen.
It's all well that ends well for Max Verstappen.
Verstappen now snatches the championship trophy from Lewis Hamilton.
And nope. If you thought that was all drama, first of all, have you even been following Formula One? Welcome to the sport of intercontinental rockets on wheels, where every car sounds sort of like a banshee passing by. But the thing is, Max winning over and over is not fun anymore, and maybe a little boring. But here comes Danny Ric, Yuki Tsunoda, the Ferrari duo, and the retired seven-time champion Lewis Hamilton to save the day with a little bit of spice and drama from everyone to keep all of us fans happy when racing is so uneventful. So let's pick the honey badger first, the smiley Daniel Ricciardo, who for the past 6 months has had no reason to smile. He crashed yet again on the opening lap of Suzuka. Surprising? Not really. As much as we all love his wide grin and his charisma in the paddocks, Ricciardo's peak was when he was at Red Bull alongside Verstappen. So much for history lessons. Ever since he left Red Bull, he's been desperate to score even scraps. When he joined Renault in 2019, not only was he way below grid positions than what people expected of him, but he also never showed any real race pace, with a total of 5 retirements in the 2019 season alone. But when things started improving for him in 2020, Ricciardo's stars had to ruin it by moving him to McLaren, where rookie Lando Norris made the habit of leaving Ricciardo in the dust for 2 seasons straight. Now, to be fair, one can argue that Ricciardo had built up enough credibility over the years to not let things like that affect his career. And that turned out to be true when he was offered a job at AlphaTauri. Heck, those guys even tried to change the name to the team RB, but man, is the 34-year-old tiptoeing towards disaster. Which might not be a total career end, seeing how there has always been some kind of problem with his car, in its tires, brakes, suspension, engine, transmission, and more. However, if you're an RB fan, there's still life in the crib because Yuki Tsunoda from Japan is going rapid around the circuit these days. This young lad is aggressive, late on the brakes, has good traffic awareness, and almost never ceases to put his car in the tightest of spots, only to overtake around the trickiest of chicanes, unlike Daniel Ricciardo, who happened to be involved with what he calls one of the worst things that could happen after crashing and taking out Alex Albon with him on lap 1. Stewards called it a racing incident, but what Ricciardo fans saw in it was much sadder. The fact that the crash happened mostly because Ricciardo didn't see Albon makes people believe that he's not the same driver anymore who had the caliber of challenging for the championship between 2014 to 2018, and it's mostly true. He turns 35 this July. Plus, Yuki became the first Japanese native to score at home turf after a 12 years gap where his countryman Kamui Kobayashi last scored points fighting Jenson Button in 2012. That is all the more reason for Ricciardo to worry, because it puts even greater pressure on him to get more out of the same car, which at the same time makes him produce stupid mistakes. Reportedly, Ricciardo has called for a chassis change, which in racing language is sometimes the last straw to pull out of your excuse basket, but let's see still. Like Danny himself puts it, quote, "Before you tell me I'm shit, let's get that sorted and put to bed." End of quote. All right, my man, and while we wait for that to be put to bed, what's that? Can you hear?
Smooth operator. Smooth operator.
That's right. Sainz and Leclerc are going at it this season, which many people feel is Sainz's revenge arc. In a shocking news reveal earlier this year, Ferrari made a deal with Hamilton to come sit in one of their cars, replacing Carlos Sainz, and it's no secret that the Spaniard did not take it lightly. This year, Sainz is already halfway through, making this the most successful season in his career, with 3 podiums, including 1 race win already in just the 4 race weekends that we've had so far. But in the same breath, Leclerc is not too far off the paces as well. I mean, Ferrari strategists are almost always meme material, but this weekend they produce nothing short of magic as Leclerc brings home driver of the day with a super job at managing his tires. The Monegasque driver came in 4th, just below Sainz, but with only 1 pit stop throughout the 305-kilometer race. Mad ambition and execution from the Ferrari camp. So, Red Bull might be leading the boards at the moment, but the 2 super talented prancing horses aren't too far behind either, prompting Red Bull principal to think about pairing Sainz up with Verstappen next season, which could possibly be the transfer of the decade. When asked about it a few days back, Christian Horner said it in the clearest statement yet: "You've had a very fast unemployed driver win today. The market is reasonably fluid with certain drivers, and based on a performance like that, you couldn't rule any possibility out." But for Yuki, when asked about him, he gave a less than ideal response. Quote, "Yuki's a very quick driver. We know that, but I think we want to feel the best pairing that we can in Red Bull racing, and sometimes you've got to look outside the pool as well." End of quote. So the window is definitely there. Imagine Sainz and Verstappen fighting it out in the same outfit and cars. Whoa. Coming back to earth, however, that's not happening, because whoever they try to bring, he has got to be better than Perez. Now, Sainz may have the edge in racing talent, but he cannot be a better team player than what Checo Perez has been. And when Checo is already talented enough to make possible a Red Bull 1-2, why on earth would Red Bull want to bring in another driver that could not only create friction with Verstappen's throne, but would also not be any improvement in the team's overall points table? Precisely what makes Christian Horner say, "We're not in any desperate rush." And while this acceptance of being second keeps Checo in the picture, a similar camaraderie cannot be said about the 2 guys at Silver Arrows. We all know Hamilton is clearly the more experienced of the 2 and has 7 world titles under his belt, but that somehow isn't translating into, let alone good track positions, but even overtaking his own teammate. At the Japanese Grand Prix, Hamilton outqualified Russell by a margin of 2 positions. Hamilton was 7th, Russell was 9th. At the end of the race, Russell was 7th and Hamilton was 9th. This difference in strategies, or the frustration of not performing like he wants, is probably the biggest reason why Hamilton made the move to Ferrari. And combine that with Mercedes' Toto Wolff's criticism of the driver's performance, alongside the complete acceptance of defeat in his statement, "No one is going to catch Max this year. There is some serious heat which inevitably affects the drivers more than anyone." At a post-race interview at Suzuka, when somebody asked Hamilton, "Are you a little bit jealous of the Ferraris at the moment because they are faster?" Lewis Hamilton got up and left the stage altogether, what should speak volumes about the kind of tension brewing at the Mercedes garage. So Leclerc now feels the need to continuously justify his seat. Ricciardo is looking for his redemption. Verstappen is thinking about setting a world record of some kind. Sainz has nothing to lose, and Hamilton is trying his best to make sense of the car that he's been given while also keeping his teammate in check. With youngbloods like Oscar Piastri pulling out moves to overtake people double his age and experience, we are headed straight for the Shanghai International Circuit, where the forecasted rain during Friday's practice may topple the qualifying order altogether on Saturday. And let me tell you, there will be lots at stake going in front of the 5 lights on Sunday, the pure definition of excitement. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We are in for a great season this year. Heck, if we are really lucky, we might even see some changes in the front row as well. The more, the merrier. So just pick a livery, then a driver, buy something to munch on, and keep your eyes glued for the Chinese Grand Prix, because when the lights go out, you don't want to miss anything. And with that, until the next time we meet, guys, you make sure to have the time of your life.